everybody. You don't know me very well yet, but my name is Christina. I am Valkyrie Amputee, the one and only. I wanted to make a little introduction video to help you all know who I am and my story. I'll start off. I'm not an amputee yet. I've still got the foot. On April 22nd is my below the knee amputation, which I am very excited for. Cannot wait. I'm just tired of always hurting, and that's just life. So a little bit about me. I am a mother of one with a little boy. I am 28 years old, and I live in Canada, where we have good healthcare. Not amazing healthcare, good healthcare. And I guess my story is kind of a crazy one. In 2016, I twisted my ankle while I was at work. I was a telecommunications technician for a well-known telecom company up here in Canada. I thought I twisted my ankle, babied it for a few weeks. Everything seemed okay. Went for a nice long walk after 2 weeks and got up the morning after and literally fell out of my bed. My leg gave out from underneath me and I fell and I hit my head. I took myself to the hospital. They said I was okay and it just seemed to be a sprain and put me into a air boot and sent me on my way. Told me to go to physio, so I went and saw a doctor who wasn't my family doctor because he was out of office, who sent me for physio. And I did 3 months of physio. 3 months. Kept saying, something hurts, something's not right, it's still hurting. And after 3 months, my family doctor finally said enough was enough. And screamed and yelled and banged a few heads together and got me to a specialist. And turns out, we found out many years later, at that time, my foot was actually fractured. So my midfoot, and it's called the Liz Frank area, was fractured quite badly. But nobody ever found it because when they did the bone scan, it had already healed. And it was a hairline event. It was probably a hairline fracture, I think that they said, but I didn't find that out until last year that I had a fracture. Anyways, so first surgeon. First surgeon was an interesting fellow. I don't recommend him. I'm not going to give names, but he's very wishy-washy. Always back and forth. And that always bothered me. I kept asking for surgery. He kept suggesting steroid shots or other means. We tried an anesthetic so that he could know that it was exactly that area that was damaged. It was a diagnostic tool, I guess. And to make matters worse, I could only see him once a month. So the first time I saw him, he said, well, just continue doing physio. We'll see where it goes. See if you need surgery. And I said, well, I think I need surgery. Something's wrong. Oh, no, we'll see. So the next month, he's like, oh, well, we'll send you for this. Or at that point, he said, well, we'll send you for this MRI. So I go for the MRI, get to the next one. Oh, well, this shows some inflammation. So now we're going to send you for this bone scan test. Oh, okay. Now this shows this. So we're going to try and send you for this test. So it took another almost 3 months to convince him that he needed to do some sort of surgery. Which, in retrospect, should have been a red flag, but it wasn't. I wish it had been, because I wouldn't be in the position that I am now. Surgery day finally comes, and it is probably the clearest memory I have of that day, as I'm sitting in this room with like 8 beds lined up, and they're getting us all ready. And this wasn't a hospital, it was a surgery clinic. So it wasn't even like I was at a hospital in the major city. No, I was at a clinic. So one, they didn't test to see I was pregnant, which I was pregnant with my son, who is, my God, like, he's perfectly healthy. He's fantastic. But it's scary when you find out after surgery that you're pregnant. And two, I was already nervous about it not being in a hospital. And so he comes in and he goes, okay, so let's take a look here. And he goes to the foot and he, standing in front of me, goes, I think I'm just going to fuse the area. Because if I fuse it, then you don't need any more surgeries. And if you don't need any more surgeries, that's the way to go. I said, let's do it. I want to be done with pain. That was 6 months in. I was already done with the amount of pain I was in. And so he said, yeah, we'll do it. I go in for surgery. I come out. He comes out and he goes, I didn't fuse it. I put in screws. It didn't look that bad. I roughed up a few things and I put in screws. I said, oh, okay. Sounds good. And now after that surgery, I had quite a few complications. I believe I had to go to the hospital at least twice for complications after surgery. And then as I started to heal, I noticed something strange. Usually with surgery, because they cut into the skin, they damage nerves, which is very common. It's a part of the contract you sign that there's going to be nerve damage. And I noticed that this spot, if I can get my foot in here, you can see there's this spot here on my foot. I don't know if you saw that or not, probably not, where my foot, the numbness was growing. It wasn't staying in a singular spot or getting smaller like most people do after some type of a surgery. That's usually what happens is you have the surgery, you lose a little bit of feeling. Over time, the feeling comes back. Or sometimes not at all, but most of the time it comes back. And so I kept telling him this. And this was, I think, maybe a month or two after, maybe 2 months after the surgery. I think that my wound and everything was healed. But I kept telling him, I was like, something doesn't feel right. Something's not right. And then I think once my foot was out of the cast, I was able to be like, hey, this numbness is weird. And it kept growing. And it went from the knuckle of my big toe to the knuckle of the other toe. Then up onto the big toe. Then slowly getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Until it encompassed the majority of the front of my foot. I almost started losing feeling in the bottom of my foot. It almost went into the bottom. Almost. Thank God it didn't. And I kept telling him this. And because I was pregnant, we had to wait to take the screws out. So I had this numbness that kept growing and growing. Goes, well, it's... And every time I bring it up, he goes, well, that's not normal. And then go to another subject. And I waited. And I waited. And every time, and I kept telling WCB too, I said, something's not right here. And finally, I said, I don't trust him. I don't trust him to do another surgery on me. And I'm very glad that I did. And I had to, I guess, in a way, tell him, oh, I just want to see a surgeon in Red Deer, when really, I just didn't trust him to touch my foot again. And that's when I met my current surgeon, who is probably one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. One of the most amazing surgeons I've ever met. He is so knowledgeable in this type of injury. He was the one who told me that I had a fracture. He said, oh, your foot was originally fractured. I said, no, it wasn't. He goes, yeah, I looked at your old x-rays. It was fractured. I'm like, oh, that would have been nice to know. He went, yeah, nobody told you that? I said, no. So, finally, I met this new surgeon, and he says exactly what I wanted him to, which was, let's just fuse it. Let's one surgery, hopefully, as long as it takes, and done. And so I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. And so I got in for surgery May of 2019. So from essentially January of 2017 until May of 2018. 2018? No, 2019. 2019, because I had surgery last year. May of 2019. So pretty well 2 years. So pretty well 2 years went by, and that numbness still grew and grew. And Dr. Henderson did his surgery, and he did a fantastic job. Again, he is an incredible surgeon, and what has happened has been none of his fault. But after that surgery, I had nerve pain so bad I couldn't function. I couldn't sleep. It felt like my foot was on fire. I had no idea what to do. And so they put me on these nerve pain medications. I'm trying all these different things. I'm trying marijuana, CBD, just trying to keep the pain in check. And then finally, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I could think about going back to work. Talked with my physio. There was an opening at their clinic. They offered to take me on. I was so thankful. They're such amazing people that have been a part of my case. And it's taken one crappy doctor to cause it to go the direction that it has. And so I started at this clinic and worked my hours, enjoyed it, but my pain kept getting worse. I could barely walk. And finally one day, I literally couldn't walk on my foot by the end of the shift. I was in so much pain, I couldn't stand. And so I made an appointment with my surgeon, went in and saw him, and he's taking a look at it, and he goes, I don't know if the fusion didn't take, because he's looking at the x-ray. He says the x-ray looks like it's taken, but we're going to send you for, I think it was a CT scan is what they sent me for. And so they sent me for the CT scan, and I went, and at the same time he goes, and you know what, let's send you for some sort of nerve testing, or so my family doctor said, to send me for nerve testing, to figure out what the hell was going on with this nerve pain that was substantial, taking everything out of me, essentially. And so just before the CT scan, I had the nerve pain testing. And the nerve pain testing with this wonderful neurologist up in Edmonton. As hard of a day as that was, I do not blame her. She was straightforward, to the point, did not hold back. She didn't sugarcoat it, which is good, because that's what I needed to hear, because it was what I knew in my head. And it's funny because this whole time with all these appointments, I always go into them, I'm like, oh, it's going to be so terrible, and then I go and they're like, it's not that bad, you're fine, it's okay, things are going to be okay. But this neurologist flat out looked me in the eyes and said, if you have more surgeries, you will either have excruciating nerve pain or lose your foot. And then I had the CT scan a week later that confirmed that the fusion didn't take and I needed more surgery. So now I'm at a point of, do I let Dr. Henderson do the surgery, which he said he thinks he can do it and he can stabilize it. And I said, stabilizing is a good idea, because technically right now I have broken bones in my foot, if you want to be technical about it. And at first I said yes to the surgery, and I knew it wasn't the right decision. I had panic attacks. Even after the nerve pain testing, I had debilitating panic attacks to the point of where I couldn't, if somebody even mentioned a surgery or something, I would just disappear. I would go back into my brain and not be there anymore on autopilot. And then so I thought about it, and I worked through it with a psychologist, and I just was so lost. Because everybody said, do the surgery. And I love all the people in my life, I really do. And I love that they care about me, and I love that they didn't want me to lose my limb. But at what point do you say enough is enough? At what point do you take your health into your own hands and say, I'm done letting doctors make the decisions? And I finally got to that point. It took a lot of tears and a lot of hard moments, but I went and sat in his office, and I looked at him and I said, you said you would do an amputation after if this surgery didn't work? Why are we going through another surgery if there's just more than likely going to be an amputation on the other side anyways? And after lots of talking about the nerve damage and the nerve pain, and he had finally read the report, he said, you know what, I agree. Him stabilizing it wasn't going to get rid of the nerve pain. It wasn't going to stop my nerves from dying in my foot from the damage that the first surgeon did, which, by the way, I guess I didn't mention that. He had trapped the perineal, I apologize if I'm butchering it, perineal nerve in the bones in my foot when he put the screws in. And that nerve was so damaged, I've lost 50% feeling and just shy of 60% motor function out of it. So a little thing for the class, most toes bend. Mine does that, whereas this toe, I can do that. This bump here is where my tendon is stiffening and my foot doesn't really bend like it's supposed to. So that in itself is painful because everything's stiff and doesn't move properly. And I'm also getting arthritis in it because it's already pretty damaged. And it just, I guess it just takes being in a position of extreme pain daily to make a hard decision like amputating your foot. Now, I made a video for Facebook after I got my surgery date because that was a weird day. Getting the day for my surgery, I didn't expect it to put me in shock like it did, but it did. And so the next day, my boyfriend and I decided it's getting cut off anyways. And I tied it up as tight as I could with every single fucking tensor bandage in this. Excuse my language. Every single tensor bandage I own. Not really, but I tied it up pretty good. Put it in my highest pair of ankle hiking boots. And took as much pain medication as I could with me. CBD, Tramadol. Even took a little bit of weed just to help me out. And we went to this beautiful place called Siffler Falls here in Alberta. It's in the mountains, and it's about a 9-kilometer hike, and it was hard as hell, and it hurt like a son of a bitch, but I did it. And I made a video, which I'll put in the comments, that I put on my Facebook to tell my friends and family about what was going on. And a lot of them were very supportive. And I say a lot because that doesn't mean all. And I think going through this experience, which I'm going to blog or make videos, I'm going to try once a week for all of you wonderful people, for any amputees out there that are, or soon to be amputees that are going through something similar, that would like something to relate to, and maybe something to inspire you. The hardest part has not been the fact that I have to get over that I'm amputating my foot. Once I said I was doing it, it was this weird calmness. Calmness, that's not the word. A little bit, but I don't even know if it's a word. Tranquility. That's the word. There was a strange amount of tranquility when I told that doctor, I want you to remove my foot below the knee. And I don't think anybody really understands that. Yeah, unless you go through something like that, you don't really understand. But my friends and the people that really give a shit about me, they all knew that it was best. And they all knew that I'm making the best decision for me. And as I was saying, the hardest part of this whole process has not been coming to terms with that. It's been trying to explain to people who have no idea what you're going through. No idea how much pain you're in. every day that this is the best option. Or even people that do know, who see it. There are family members of mine who try to talk me out of it daily still. I'm still going to do it. And I'm going to do it because I have been given between a rock and a hard place. And if I choose the option not to do it and just live the way that I am, I'm as good as a potato. Like, that is my good. I can get up and walk around for like maybe 30 minutes if the ground is flat and I'm wearing my best shoes. I want a life again. I want to grow. I want to change. I don't want to be stuck in this type of pain the rest of my life. And I get it. I get that there will be pain after the amputation. I'm not naive. And I'm sure that any other amputees that are watching this probably feel the same way. We're not naive to the fact that there's going to be pain afterwards, but I would rather pain that comes sporadically than pain that's there 24 hours a day. When I lay in bed, if I turn the wrong way, my foot hurts and wakes me up. If I get up and do the laundry in my house, my foot throbs. If I sit at my desk without something to put my foot on, my foot swells and turns red. It's not your choice, as in the family. If somebody is making that decision to remove a limb, it is not because they just want to. You can't just go to a doctor and tell them, I would like to cut my foot off, please. Even with the amount of damage that's in my foot, needed to talk to a second doctor who is also an amputee and have that doctor say, yeah, he thinks I'm a good candidate to be able to get my surgery. So it's not like I went to my surgeon and was like, cut my foot off, and he went, okay, let's do it. Yeah, that's smart. That's a good way to think. And it's the same for anybody else who makes the decision too. No doctor is just going to cut off your limb. There has to be reason. And I find it very difficult dealing with family that treats you like that, or friends who seem to not understand or just don't want to. You can only go so far to show people how much better it's going to be until they actually see. So I think it's just going to take the amputation being done and them seeing when I'm in my prosthetic and learning to walk and have the majority of a pain-free life, that things are going to be better than they were. And I know they will be. Because I know that I'm going to be a different person. Not deep down. But sometimes the hardest struggles of your life are the exact things that push you forward. And although this is extremely drastic and a difficult decision to make, it is mine. And I am happily making my decision. I know what is best for me. And I guess that's kind of my little tidbit of a story to learn who I am and what is bringing me to make this video series of what I'm going through before and after my surgery. I actually wasn't going to make this video today because I'm a little on the sad side. So if some of it seemed sad, I'm sorry, or some of it's kind of depressing, I'm sorry. But that's life. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Maybe it'll be about my current workout routine, getting ready for the surgery, or a little more about what I'm going through. We'll see. I'm also a gamer, I'm a nerd, if you can't tell. So I might play some video games on Twitch or something like that. I'll put all those in the comments below if you would like to follow or watch or get to know me at all. And thank you so much for watching my video. Have a good Tuesday and stay inside for a few days. Everybody needs it.